I was sacked once. Someone with a real shitty work ethic and attitude problem, let's call her Jan, had a pop at a guy in my team. I emailed him to say, "Don't worry about it, she's a bitch. She used to be supervisor but got demoted 'cause she was shit, but keep it down because person sat next to you is her friend." As I had her name in my head, accidentally sent it directly to Jan. Got called in 10 minutes later by manager and finance director. Thought I was getting promoted as I was a high performer and smashing my targets, etc. Cringe about it. But it worked out for the best as I moved to a better job, got a foot in the door to another role, and now earn virtually double. But at the time, it was the end of the world. I used to work at Tesco, and the contracted cleaner Steve was caught banging Linda from bakery. They pulled the roller cages of huge packs of flour together so they wouldn't get caught. Irony is they were eventually caught having sex amongst the flours. The crazy awkward part is, Linda's husband worked on the produce section. Anyway, Linda got fired. Steve was never seen again. However, rumored to be cleaning another local Tesco, Linda's husband committed suicide. Actually, pretty fucking dark. Have a good day. 1. Buying drugs on the company laptop, generally being coked up, and then taking ket, passing out. 2. Same place, I had to fire someone for saying that a certain group should be lined up and shot. They also made threats towards a person in that group. 3. Fight in the office, pushy and punchy, ruined that year's secret Santa. It was about a book. 4. Pissing on the glass door of a senior director, then offering them a few £100 to get a lap dance. To chill out, he was shouting, "You can't fire me in the best you have," as he was escorted from the building. Things people have no been fired for. Sexually assaulting, a man groping a woman so hard she had bruises. Only once she got the police involved did he get put on leave while they investigated. Eventually he resigned. A woman sexually harassing another woman, it was treated as a hilarious joke. The women being harassed resigned. 2 come to mind. 1. Sheer stupidity. 1. Scary and chilling. The stupid one. A guy in his first week was stuck on a client, called desperate for a wee. When the call wrapped up, he got up, ran into the men's toilets, where every cubicle and urinal was occupied. His solution was to piss in the sink. One of the men at the urinals was the CEO. That was his last day at the firm. 2 come to mind. 1. Sheer stupidity. 1. Scary and chilling. The stupid one. A guy in his first week was stuck on a client call, desperate for a wee. When the call wrapped up, he got up, ran into the men's toilets, where every cubicle and urinal was occupied. His solution was to piss in the sink. One of the men at the urinals was the CEO. That was his last day at the firm. The awful one, an engineer kept falling out with management staff, specifically female staff. He was suspended for some insubordination, and whilst he was on suspension, an IT guy who'd been tasked to get some data out of the suspended parties' files on their computer. In these folders, he'd rated the women and made notes on their personalities and physical qualities. The terrifying bit, though, was he had graphically written about sex crimes he'd like to commit against them. It was disgusting stuff. It was taken to the police, but I'm not sure what happened with it. A young lad sync his phone to the works network. Had porn on it, so gets flagged by IT. HR gave a warning, but he did it again the next day and was escorted off-site. Someone at my workplace had an obsession over a woman in the office, used to stalk her and tell her he loved her. He went onto her FB and social medias and edited her face out onto naked women's bodies. He brought his personal laptop into the IT man that works here to help him fix something wrong with his PC, and the IT man saw the folder and reported it. They made him quit. He worked here like 10 plus years. Someone who was once my supervisor of sorts got fired for flashing a director in the stationery cupboard, actually a room with no windows other than the door where all the paper, stock, envelopes, etc. were kept. Someone who was once my supervisor of sorts got fired for flashing a director in the stationery cupboard, actually a room with no windows other than the door where all the paper, stock, envelopes, etc. were kept. In hindsight, I was sexually harassed by her prior to that, but this was over 20 years ago when people would have just burst out laughing if a man suggested they'd been harassed by a woman. What are you complaining about, you weirdo? Ha! Plus, it was my first job, so I was quite naive. That train story sounds a bit harsh. I don't see why you should get fired for doing something while traveling to work unless you are actively representing the company, like wearing their uniform or something. No, I'm not saying he shouldn't get in trouble for doing that in public, but I don't see why it would be cause for dismissal unless he got jailed and couldn't work or something. I once got let go, construction, self-employed, because I was gossiping with a co-worker about how I didn't want to go to the staff party because all the other subbies just use it as an excuse to get coked up and shit-faced on the boss's dime. I was stripping out an old university bathroom full of urinals. The janitor overheard me chatting with my colleague about how shit the job was getting covered in piss, early days when I was a laborer, and then also heard the bit about the staff party. Janitor gossiped to his boss that gossiped to the bursar at the university who complained to my boss. I got the sack for moaning about toxic work culture and the other druggies that the boss employed.